Hello everyone. Welcome to the session of Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants Theory Part 8. So today is the Part 8 lecture we are going to discuss here. Disclaimer: the images, text and other material used in our presentations are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that the parts of the content may have been generated using the generative AI, which is totally experimental. So today's lecture learning objective. What is the objective of today's lecture? Able to define apomixis polyembryony with examples. Okay, not only the definition we are going to discuss about the apomixis and polyembryony topic. We will discuss about how it happened, what is actually the apomixis, what is polyembryony, and with some examples, because examples are very important for this two important definitions, or you can say the topic. So index, apomixis and polyembryony, this is the 1.5 topic of the NCERT book, and later on we will summarize the chapter as well. So till here we have discussed about 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. In that, we have discussed about the male reproductive organ. We have discussed about how the male gametophyte is formed inside the anther, right? That is the pollen grain. And we have also discussed about the formation of the embryo sac in the female reproductive structure. Okay, the female gametophyte is the embryo sac and it is formed inside the ovule. Ovule are placed inside the ovary, right? So microsporogenesis leads to the formation of pollen grain. Megasporogenesis leads to the formation of your embryo sac. Okay, so this we have discussed about in a great detail. After that, we have discussed about the pollination, different types of pollination. Okay, we have discussed about the pollen pistil interaction. After the pollination process, there is a pollen pistil interaction, so that also we have discussed about. After that, there is a double fertilization, a very important topic, that also we have discussed in a very great detail. And after that, we have discussed about the uh, formation of endosperm and embryo, because that is the result of the double fertilization. Syngamy leads to the zygote and zygote leads to the formation of the embryo. Triple fusion leads to the formation of pen, okay, and that leads to the formation of endosperm, right? Now, we have discussed about all these things. Later on, we have also discussed about the seeds, the types of seeds, okay, and also the types of fruits. Now, this is going to be the last topic of your NCERT book, that is the apomixis and polyembryony. And according to the NCERT book, this is the 1.5 topic. Moving ahead, apomixis. So let us understand what is this apomixis. Although seeds in general are the product of fertilization, so sometimes it can be asked, what is the product of fertilization? So seed is the ultimate result of the process of fertilization, right? Seed. A few flowering plants, such as some species of Asteraceae and grasses. So Asteraceae, this is the name of a family in the angiospermic plants, Asteraceae, and it constitutes a very important flower, that is like Tagetes, sunflower, okay, or cosmos. All these belongs to this Asteraceae, right? We are having the grasses also. In grasses, they belongs to the monocot. Asteraceae, this belongs to the dicot. Okay. They have evolved a special mechanism to produce seeds without fertilization. So it is contradictory to the first point in this particular statement. In the first part of the statement, they are saying that seed is in general are the product of fertilization, and here we are saying that seeds are formed without fertilization. In some condition, in some of the plant, we see that formation of seed is there without any fertilization, and that is the apomixis. That is the phenomena of apomixis, right? So apomixis means the formation. Apomixis is derived, actually it is derived from the two Greek word. Okay, it is derived from the two Greek word apo. What is the meaning of apo? Away from. Apo means away from, and mixes means the act of mixing or mingling. The act of mixing or mingling. So what is mixes in the general fertilization? In the process of fertilization, there is a mixing of the genetic material. There is a mixing of genetic material. And that is why it is always bring the sexual reproduction, always bring the variation in the characteristics. And that is good for the new seeds. New characters get developed, right? But here in the case of apomixis, the seeds are formed but without fertilization. It means that away from mixing. So what does this mean, away from mixing? It refers to the formation of the plant from a seed without fertilization or normal sexual reproduction. Means there is no normal sexual reproduction. Normal sexual reproduction is not taking place here. Does it create cloned plants? Yes, some sort of clone plant. We will discuss about this. We will discuss it. Apomixis can be the best described as a reference of the asexual process, because in the formation of seeds, only one of the sexes is involved here. Only one of the sexes is involved here. So that is why it is called as asexual process. The plant produce is a clone of the female parent plant. Yes, your question was correct. The plant produces is a clone of the female parent plant because the seed is formed totally from the female gametophyte. There is no involvement of the another coming from the male part of the flower, or you can say the male gametophyte is not involved here. Only the female plant part is involved. Female parent is involved. So during the sexual reproduction, actually what happens? There is a developmental steps occurring inside the ovule that produces the female gametophyte, right? That is the embryo sac. And following a double fertilization, normally there is a double fertilization. And after the double fertilization, what happens? They give rise to the embryo and endosperm. This we see in the case of normal sexual reproduction. But in the case of apomixis, there is no double fertilization. Actually, there is no fertilization. It doesn't mean that there will be syngamy but there will be no triple fusion. No, there will be no syngamy and no triple fusion. No fertilization is taking place here. But still the seeds are formed. So this is the question, that how does it happens? So apomixis is a very common in higher plants. It is a common phenomena that we see in the case of higher plants. Plants of more than 35 families are known to be apomictic. This is an like a data that we have seen in the like reports or the research papers, that such and such family are having like examples of the apomictic seed. And the very common is the graminy means this is grasses. Grasses belongs to the graminy. Okay, all the grasses belong to the graminy. And even your like cereals, very important cereal, your rice, maize, and your wheat, all that belongs to the graminy family, right? So we see this apomixis phenomena in graminy, rosaceae, compositae, or asteraceae. This is the same family name, compositae or asteraceae. At some literature you will find that there is mention of the compositae family, whereas in some it is mentioned as a asteraceae. Compositae is an old name and asteraceae is a new name, but it is same thing. Another family is the rutaceae, right? So major cereals such as maize and wheat show the apomixis. Wheat and maize are one of the very common species in which we see the case of apomixis. Okay. Okay. So seeds produced without fertilization is apomixis. This is very important point and you must remember. And what does it create? It creates clone because there is an asexual method of formation of the seeds. So now there is a question, and this is an in-text question in your NCERT book. What is fruit production without fertilization called? Fruits are formed but without fertilization. Just now we have seen that the seeds are formed without fertilization. The seed formation without fertilization is called as apomixis. But what is called when the fruit is formed without fertilization? Formation of fruit without fertilization. So, parthenocarpy. Yes, parthenocarpic fruit or parthenocarpy is the production of fruit without fertilization or seed development. Okay, no fertilization is taking place here. Still there is a formation of fruit. So that is called parthenocarpy. And in parthenocarpy, there is no seeds. No seeds. Okay, no seeds are there. And that is why these parthenocarpic commercial value are very important in the market. So can you imagine that you are eating grapes with the seeds? Grapes with seeds. It will be difficult to eat, right? But earlier there were the grapes with the seeds in the market, but it were difficult to eat them. So they developed with the help of parthenocarpy. Okay, they developed the unfertilized fruits, right? And that are the examples of parthenocarpy. See, there is a difference. Don't get confused. Apomixis and parthenocarpy is a totally different phenomena. What we are discussing in the apomixis, formation of seed without fertilization. We are discussing here seeds formation in the case of apomixis, and that too without fertilization. Seed formation of seed without fertilization. Now in the case of parthenocarpy, what we are discussing? We are discussing formation of fruit without fertilization. So totally different thing. The ovule forms the seeds. The ovule forms the seeds. The ovary forms the fruit. Two different things, right? In the same way, these apomixis and parthenocarpy are the different phenomena. So don't get confused with that, right? Again, I am repeating. Apomixis, what is apomixis? Formation of seeds without fertilization. What is parthenocarpy? Formation of fruit without fertilization. Okay. So it can occur naturally in some fruits. it can occur naturally. This parthenocarpic phenomena sometimes we see naturally in the environment, like bananas and pineapples. They forms fruit without fertilization or can be induced, and you can also induced in the horticulture, right? You can induced artificially through the plant hormones. You can spray some plant hormone in which they promote the fruit formation even without fertilization, right? Even without fertilization. And if the fruit formation is without fertilization, what will not be formed there? Seeds. The fruit will form, but there will be no seeds. So this is also one of the difference between the parthenocarpy and apomixis. Parthenogenesis and parthenocarpy are also different. That also we will see. Apomixis. So, thus, apomixis is a form of asexual reproduction that mimics the sexual reproduction. What does this mean? Apomixis is a type of asexual reproduction. It is a type of asexual reproduction because the seeds are formed by the female part only. There is no involvement of the male part, right? So it is a asexual reproduction. Okay, only one parent is involved. But what generally we see in the case of sexual reproduction, what is formed? What is the result of the sexual reproduction? The result of the sexual reproduction is the formation of seed. The formation of seed. Okay. Syngamy leads to the formation of zygote. Triple fusion leads to the formation of endosperm. And zygote changes to embryo. But all these changes are occurring where? Inside the ovule. Inside the ovule, where the embryo sac is present. Inside the ovule. And after the fertilization, what happens to ovule? This ovule changes to seed. The ovule changes to seed. So that is the ultimate result of the sexual reproduction. That is the ultimate results of the sexual reproduction. The first line of today's lecture was same. And that is why I emphasize this more on it. What is the result of the double fertilization? What is the result of double fertilization? Formation of seed. And here there is, in the case of apomixis, where no fertilization took place, but still there is a formation of seed, and that seeds formed by the process of asexual reproduction. So this seed is mimics. Mimics means the one who make a copy of someone. Mimics the sexual reproduction. Because what is the result of sexual reproduction? Seed. So in both the cases, in normal condition also, in the case of sexual reproduction, there is a formation of seed, and when there is not double fertilization taking place, but by the asexual mood, there is a formation of seed, right? In both the cases, the seeds are formed, but there is a huge difference. There is a huge difference in both the cases. In the first cases, like in the case of asexual reproduction, the genetic material is coming in that seed only from the one of the parent. Only one of the parent. Okay, so there will be no genetic variation. It will be clone of the female plant. That seed will be totally a clone of that female plant, right? But in the case of sexual reproduction, the seed formation took place, and this seed is having the chromosome, the DNA material from both the parent, from the female parent as well as the male parent. So there will be a lot of variation. There will be a lot of variation in the seed that has been formed from the sexual reproduction. Okay, seeds are formed from the seeds are formed from the sexual reproduction. Here also the seeds are formed, and in the case of asexual also the seeds are formed. But here there will be no variation, there will be no variation, and in this seeds there will be lot of variation. This is the difference in both the cases, apomixis and the normal sexual reproduction or the double fertilization. So there are several ways of the development of the apomictic seed. Now we will discuss about how this apomictic seeds develops. Okay, how this develops. So in some species, the diploid egg cell. Now very important. Listen carefully. Diploid egg cell is formed without reduction division and the development into the embryo without fertilization. What is the, in normal cases, what is the ploidy of the egg? What is the ploidy of the egg? It is haploid. The ploidy of the egg is haploid or N. But in some cases, in some species, the egg is itself diploid. The egg is diploid. Okay, what does this mean? How this egg has been formed? The question in your mind must be this time is how this diploid egg is formed. The sir has explained earlier that there will be the reduction division, and the reduction division leads to the formation of 4 megaspore. Out of these, 3 megaspore got degenerated and only one of the haploid megaspore leads to the formation of the a mature embryo sac, that is the 7-celled and 8-nucleate structure. So this must be coming in your mind. But here what happened? Sometime in some species, one of the diploid cell, this is one of the diploid cell of the nucellus, do not undergo reduction division. Do not undergo reduction division. No meiosis takes place. And what happened? This diploid cell leads to the formation of the embryo sac. It will form the embryo sac. It will form the egg. It will form the synergid. It will, yes, is it direct mitosis? By the direct mitosis process, it will form the antipodals, right? So here the zygote, this egg, this is the egg. This egg will be diploid. This egg will be diploid. That is without reduction division. It is written here clearly. Okay, in some species, the diploid egg cell is formed without reduction division and develops into the embryo without fertilization. Because it is diploid, it develops into the embryo without fertilization. So this is one of the way in which the apomictic seed is formed. 4 embryo sac, then no, there will be no 4 embryo sac. There will be the single egg. There will be the single egg. In mitosis, when there is a meiosis, then 4 cells are formed. Then 4 cells are formed. This diploid egg cell undergo, this diploid, you can say the nucellus cell, undergo mitosis. It will form 2 cells, 2 nucleus, then 4 nucleus, then 5 nucleus, okay, then 6 nucleus, and then 8 nucleus, right? But here no reduction division is taking place in this case, right? Here normal condition, the reduction takes place, but here in the case of this apomixis seed formation, one of the diploid cell of the nucellus divide by the mitosis, simple mitosis process. 1 nucleus will give rise to the 2 nucleus, 2 will give rise to the 4. Now this 4 again divide mitosis and they will form the 8 nucleate stage. Only karyokinesis, no cytokinesis is there. Okay, but what is the ploidy? What is the ploidy of all these cells here? All are diploid. All are diploid, right? and the egg is also diploid. Egg is also diploid. So without getting fertilized, this egg will forms the embryo and seed formation will takes place, right? So this is one of the way. This is one of the way. More often, more often in many citrus and mango varieties, some of the nuclear cells surrounding the embryo sac start dividing and protrude into the embryo sac and develops into the embryo. Here, this is another phenomena. More often, as in many citrus and mango. We are talking about the citrus. So you can name any citrus fruits here, like lemon, oranges. Okay, these are some of the examples. Okay, citrus and mango. You all know very well mango varieties. Nuclear cells. All the nuclear cells are diploid. Okay, surrounding the embryo sac. These nuclear cells are present where? Surrounding the embryo sac. They start dividing. Diploid cells of the nucleus start dividing and forms what? Embryo sac, protrude into the embryo and develops into the embryo. Yes. So ovule is a single, but the embryo sac are multiple. Nuclear cells. Here the nuclear cells surrounding the embryo sac start dividing and protrude into the embryo sac and develops into the embryo. Actually, this nuclear cells will start its own embryo. Right? Apart from the embryo sac, some of the nuclear cells, as they are diploid, they again start developing their own embryo. Okay. So in such species, each ovule contain many embryos. This is a very different phenomena, right? In one ovule, they can contain many embryos, because in such cases, in the cases like in citrus and mango plant, okay, the nuclear cells divide and redivide and forms an embryo, right? So such phenomena has been seen in the case of like citrus fruits and mango fruits. Very, very important. You must remember the species name. So polyembryony. Poly means many and embryony means formation of embryo. So occurrence of more than one embryo in a seed is referred to as polyembryony. Polyembryony is a result of sexual reproduction. No, here also the nuclear cells are diploid and they do not get fertilized. Nuclear cells, if you remember, where is the nuclear cells? So I'm just drawing a rough figure of a embryo sac. This ovule structure. This is the embryo sac, and these cells are nuclear cells that are surrounding the embryo sac. These are the nuclear cells, right? So these nuclear cells, some of these cells, maybe this one, it will form its own embryo and protrude inside the embryo sac. It will form its own embryo and protrude inside the embryo sac. So what is the ploidy of the nucleus? 2n. What is the ploidy of embryo? 2n. Now here it can happen that the egg got fertilized when there is a pollination, and there will be the embryo formation by the sexual reproduction, but there may be another embryo that can be formed without sexual reproduction, because the nuclear cells surrounding the embryo sac, they do not get fertilized. but as they are diploid, so they can form the diploid embryo. The one embryo that has been formed by the sexual reproduction, what is that ploidy? That is also diploid, because the egg was haploid and the male gamete was haploid. So both the haploid structure unite by the process of reproduction, sexual reproduction, and they can form the zygote that lead to the formation of embryo. Apomixis and sexual reproduction both are taking place. Yes, this is the apomixis. Apomixis is what? Without sexual reproduction, there is a formation of seed. But in the case of polyembryony, there can be two places in which there can be the embryo formation take place with the sexual also and without sexual also. So if it is forming the sexual one, then you cannot say that this is apomixis. But yes, if it is forming only by the asexual method, then you can say that this is an apomixis, right? Polyembryony, many embryo is formed inside the seed. In plants, this phenomena is caused either due to the fertilization. Now here you will get your answer of the question. Either due to the fertilization of one or more than one embryonic sac, or due to the origin of embryos outside the embryo sac. So here in the case of this second one is the by the process of fertilization, normal fertilization. So that embryo is the result of the sexual reproduction. But here the another case in which the cells that are present outside the embryo sac got involved in the formation of embryos. So that is by the asexual method, right? So in plants, this phenomena is caused either due to the fertilization of one or more than one embryonic sac, or due to the origination of the embryo outside the embryo sac. So what is present outside the embryo sac? What is present outside the embryo sac? Nuclear cells. Nuclear cells are here involved in the formation of embryo without sexual reproduction. And inside the embryo sac, what is present? Egg. Egg got fertilized and it will again produce the embryo. So there will be two types of embryo. The one embryo that is formed by the sexual reproduction, and there are some embryo that is formed by asexual method. So can you tell that this particular seed is an apomictic seed? Apomictic seed. Is this the apomictic seed? So there will be no apomictic seed. This is not an apomictic seed in which the sexual reproduction takes place. Endosperm can also be the diploid in that case. There, the endosperm can be diploid. They can be diploid. The endosperm formation can take place and that can be diploid, right? So take out some seeds of orange and squeeze them. There is an activity. You can take the orange, because orange also belongs to the citrus family, right? So you can take the orange seeds and squeeze them. You can press it. Observe many embryos of the different sizes and shape from each seed. You will see that embryo is coming out from the seeds by pressing the seed, by squeezing the seeds. Okay, the embryo will come out, and that embryo you can see inside the microscope. So count the number of embryos in each seed. You can count them. So again, there is a one question, and this is again an in-text question from your NCERT book only. What would be the genetic nature of the apomictic seeds? Can they be called as clones? So this is a question, that what is the genetic nature of the apomictic seed, apomictic embryos, and what can we call them as a clone, that they are a clones? So let us see the answer of it. The genetic nature of the apomictic embryos is identical to the mother plant, as they develop from the unfertilized egg cells or material tissue or other maternal tissue without meiosis and fertilization, right? So the genetic nature will be exactly the same, identical to the mother plant, because only the mother plant cells are involved in the formation of the seeds, right? So they are developed from the unfertilized egg cells or the maternal tissue, other maternal tissue like nucleus, and without meiosis and fertilization. No meiosis is there, no reduction division is there, and no fertilization also, right? So yes, they can be called clones because they are genetically exact the copies of the mother plant. They are exact the copies of the mother plant genetically. Genetically, they are exact copies of their mother plant. So that is why the apomictic seeds are called as clones. The apomictic embryos can be called as clones, right? So hybrid varieties of several of our food and vegetable crops are being extensively cultivated. Very, very important point. Listen it carefully. What we are talking about. Hybrid varieties. Hybrid varieties of several of our food and vegetable crops. Now these foods and vegetable crops are very, very important for us, and we have developed some hybrid varieties. Now you know that how the hybrid varieties are generated. Hybrid varieties means the genes from the two different individual comes and both the genes are expressed. Both the genes from the two desired genes came together and both are expressed. And that is very beneficial for us with respects to the production of food or production of like that particular crop in any stress condition. Like they can be grown in a less water, they can be grown in a excessive heat, any you can think about the that they are advanced than the previous plant, right? So hybrid varieties of the several of our food and vegetable crops are being extensively cultivated, and we want also that we want to cultivate those varieties, like they can produce more yield, they can produce more seeds, the yield is more, the production is more, and also they can be grown in a very stressed condition. So every time we see that in like there is no rain, okay, less amount of water is available, so this particular plant is capable of growing more seeds in less amount of water. So this is one of the advanced character that has been developed by being a making a hybrid varieties, right? Okay. So cultivation of the hybrid has tremendously increased productivity. And if you produce this hybrid variety, obviously your production will be increased, right? So one of the problems of the hybrid is that hybrid seeds have to be produced every year. There are so many advantages of the hybrid varieties. Suppose like I'm taking one of the example to explain this hybrid varieties. You have a plant that is of wild variety. Wild variety means that particular plant do not get disease very frequently it do not get, like there is a lot of pathogen, but it can fight with the pathogen and there is no disease on those plants, but they produce less amount of seeds, okay. And I am just coming to this advantages of hybrid that comes from the apomixis. We have to link these two things. So first of all, let us understand how the hybrid varieties get developed and how it is beneficial for us. I'm taking one example, one of the wild variety that is developed, that is having the uh, disease resistance capacity, but they produce very less amount of seed. Another variety of that plant is that it produces large number of seeds, but it gets disease very frequently. So one of the character is present in the wild variety that we want, and one of the character is present in the new variety, that is the production of the seed, right? Now you cross them, okay, and you get one of the plant there that produces more seeds, and it also have the capacity to fight with the pathogens, right? So now if you are having this hybrid variety, it will good for your cultivation or not, right? Not only the productivity, you are getting disease resistance. You can grow some of the plants, they are developed on the basis that they are having the capacity to grow in a very stressful condition. Less amount of water, excess heat, salinity soil is there, right? So some crops can grow in the saline soil also. They have the capacity, right? So that all comes from the genes. So when you make a hybrid varieties, you get that. Okay, so how you get that hybrid varieties? Now you got it. So one of the problems, now there is a problem of the hybrid variety. What is that? One of the problem of hybrid is that hybrid seeds have to be produced every year. You have to produce it every year. You have to produce it every year. This is the problem. And if the seeds collect from the hybrid are sown, the plants in the progeny will segregate and do not maintain the hybrid character. You must have studied about the laws of segregation. Okay, so the character that is present in the hybrid varieties in the next season, they can get pollinated from the other type of species. Okay, and that hybrid character can be lost in the next generation. So you want this hybrid character again and again and again, right? Because that is beneficial for us. So if the seed collected from the hybrid are sown, the plant in the progeny will segregate and do not maintain the hybrid characters. So what we can do? So the production of hybrid seed is costly, and hence the cost of hybrid seed become expensive for the farmers. This is a problem. This is a problem. That every year you have to produce this hybrid seeds, and the production of hybrid seeds is very, very costly. So if these hybrids are made into apomictic, now what they are saying is these hybrid are used to make the apomictic seed, then there is no segregation of character in the hybrid progeny. So once you create a hybrid variety, you can get the apomictic initiation in that seeds, and if they produce the apomictic seeds, then their problem is solved, right? So then the farmers can keep on using this hybrid seeds to raise new crops year after year, and he does not have to buy hybrid seeds every year, right? Because of the importance of apomixis in the hybrid seed industry, active research is going on in many laboratories around the world to understand the genetics of the apomixis and to transfer the apomictic genes into the hybrid variety. So now here you can understand that how the production of this apomixis can leads to the production of more hybrid varieties, and every year you do not have to go to the laboratory to produce a new varieties. Okay, now this is done by the apomixis itself. Importance of apomixis, we will see what is the importance of apomixis. Preserving the desirable trait. Apomixis is crucial for maintaining the specific traits in the hybrid plant. Okay, so the trait that has been developed in the hybrid plant, that will produce the apomictic seed without fertilization, right? And it prevents the loss of character during the meiosis, because at the time of meiosis, that character that has been developed by the hybrid one, that can be lost. Is there any genetic engineering involved in the apomixis? No, you can induce the apomixis with the help of some hormones. Okay. Cost and time efficiency. It provides a more economical way to produce the seeds compared to the traditional hybrid seed production method, as it saves time, right? So it is reducing your cost, because every time you are not going to create a hybrid plant, that require a lot of money and time as well. Genetic uniformity. Apomixis ensures that the offsprings are genetically identical to the parent, leading to the uniform crop and the predictable traits. You all know that apomixis seeds are having the same genes, same character that coming from the parent plant, right? So it will be the identical to the parent, right? So genetical uniformity will be there in the apomictic seeds. Improved variety and quality. By preserving the desirable traits and creating a genetically uniform crop, apomixis can contribute to increase yield and improve the crop quality. These are some of the importance. Another importance, overcoming the barrier to seed production. Apomixis can help to overcome the barriers to seed production in plants that are difficult to cross pollinate. Sometimes it's very difficult to cross pollinate, right? Such as in inbreeding depression. Application in plant breeding. Apomixis play a significant role in the plant breeding program, allowing for the rapid and efficient production of the improved cultivars. So these are some of the importance of apomixis. Now we will see some of the examples, like importance of the polyembryony as well. Importance of polyembryony. First importance, uniform seedling. Polyembryony allows the production of genetically uniform seedling, crucial for the root stock and other horticulture application. In breeding depression, when you always do self-pollination, so the new characters will not develop, and the plant will become weak and weak and weak and weak. Okay. In breeding depression, so there are some phenomena that also the plant itself do not want to get self-pollination, so they discourage the self-pollination. So in that case, this apomixis seeds, apomictic seeds are the solution. You will get the apomictic seeds. Even there is no pollination, even there is no fertilization. Okay. Polyembryony allows the production of the genetically uniform seedling, crucial for the rootstock and other horticulture application. So rootstock. Generally, we keep a stock of something, a stock of seed, a stock of fruit, right? So polyembryony allows the production of genetically uniform seedling. So next season also, if you want to grow the same seedlings, that of the same variety, so that is the root stock. Root stock means the collection. You are having the genetically uniform seedling now, the collection, right? That will be for the horticulture applications. Disease-free seedling. Nucellar embryos, a type of adventive embryony, are often disease-free, making them desirable for the producing disease-resistant plant. This is again one of the benefits of producing the polyembryony. Nucellar's embryo, they will form from the same cells, same diploid cells. So there will be less chance of getting any type of disease infection. Haploids and homozygous diploid. Polyembryony can produce haploid plant with a single set of chromosome, which can then be used to create homozygous diploid and plant with a two identical set of chromosome, a valuable tool in plant breeding. So they are also helping in the breeding program, right? So today we end up the chapter here by discussing this apomixis and polyembryony. We will have like DPP also, and DPP links are given in the chat box. So everyone has to go and solve their own DPP, and we will discuss here as we are doing earlier session also. So let us first summarize this chapter, today's lecture. Apomixis and polyembryony are the two unique reproductive phenomena in plants. Apomixis is a asexual reproduction through seeds where the embryos develop without fertilization, producing offspring genetically identical to the mother plant. And polyembryony occur when the multiple embryos develop in a single seed, resulting in more than one seedling from the same seed. These embryo can originate through the various mechanisms, including the splitting of the original embryo or development of the additional embryo from the surrounding tissues. And both the processes are important in agriculture and plant breeding, with the apomixis being particularly valuable for maintaining the desirable traits into crop species. So this is the end of today's lecture and also the this particular chapter. So I'll take just a minute to come up with the DPP. Okay. So be with us and everyone has to solve their DPP. So everyone can see the DPP now. Okay. So the first question I'm picking here, perisperm. Perisperm. So this is the lecture 7th DPP, because in the 7th lecture we are not able to discuss about the DPP due to the overshot time. So like we will discuss 7th and 8th both today's only. So you can open this 7th one. Perisperm is a remnant of, the first question I'm picking here, perisperm is the remnant of. Options are as follows: A, integument; B, nucellus; C, embryo sac; and D, testa. So what is the perisperm? It is the remnant of which particular type of structure of the ovule? It can be integument, nucellus, embryo sac, testa. So this is the first question. Perisperm is the remnant of. Perisperm is the remnant of A, integument; B, nucellus; C, embryo sac; and D, testa. Okay, so nucellus. Yes, perisperm is the remnant of the nucellus. It is not the remnant of the integument, embryo sac or the testa. Integument forms the seed covering, right? Embryo sac is totally involved in the process of the fertilization and the triple fusion. So the remnant of it's not left behind. But yes, the nucellus is left behind in some plant like the black pepper and the beet, right? Perisperm is the remnant of nucellus. So we will save and move to our next question. The mango has a fleshy, edible and a stony hard. Mango has a fleshy, edible dash and a stony hard dash. A, endocarp, epicarp; B, mesocarp, endocarp; C, pericarp, epicarp; and D, pericarp, endocarp. So mango has a fleshy, stony covering. Okay. Fleshy part that we eat, that is the mesocarp. The fleshy part of the mango that you eat is the mesocarp. And the stony hard inside that, inside the mesocarp, is the stony hard part that is called as endocarp. So I'll take this as an option B, mesocarp and endocarp. We will save and move to our next question. Some seeds retain a part of endosperm as it's not completely used up during the embryo development. While in some seeds, remnant of the nucellus is also persistent. Choose the option with the example with the respective types of seeds. Just now we have discussed in our first question, right? So what is the persistent nucellus called? That you have seen. Now in which seed, in which example you see this persistent nucellus? The examples are as follows. A. Black pepper and groundnut. B. Castor and black pepper. C. Pea and beet. And D. Barley and groundnut. So in which plant we see that? So black pepper and groundnut. Groundnut, there is no this nucellus is left behind. Pea is also not left behind. The groundnut is also not left behind. So this option, black pepper is there, and also in the case of castor. So option B is correct. Castor and black pepper. We will save and move to our next question. Ovary to fruit formation in the absence of fertilization refers to ovary to fruit formation and without fertilization. It is refers to A. Parthenocarpy, B. Apogamy, C. Apospory, and D. Parthenogenesis. So, what is that? Fruit formation without fertilization, that is called as parthenocarpy. Yes. So, we will save this and move to our next question. A true fruit is A. Not located inside the ovary. B. Unfertilized ovule. C. Fertilized and developed ovule. And all of the above. A true fruit is not located inside the ovary. This is totally a wrong statement. Unfertilized ovule. The fruit is not from the ovule. Fertilized and developed ovule, right? So C option is correct, and we will save and submit it and see the result. Yes, our all the statements, all the questions are correct. Now I'll take just a minute to come up with our DPP 8. Okay. So this is the 8th DPP, and the first question of it, what is the term for fruit production without fertilization in flowering plant? A. Parthenocarpy, B. Polyembryony, C. Apomixis, and D. Fertilization. What is the term for fruit production without fertilization in flowering plant? So, polyembryony, that is more embryo formation, that is nothing related with the fruit production. Apomixis, that is the without fertilization but seed production. Fertilization. So, I think the parthenocarpy, so some of the answer I got it. Very good. Parthenocarpy. What is the term for the fruit production without fertilization? So, parthenocarpy is the term, that is production of fruit but without fertilization. So, we will save this and move to our next question. In citrus and mango varieties, multiple embryos in a seed arise from which tissue? A. Integument, B. Nucellus cells, C. Synergid, and D. Endosperms. So, which of the cells in the case of citrus and mango are involved in the formation of multiple embryo? So, yes, nucellus cells, integument, synergid, and endosperms do not form the diploid like embryos, multiple embryos. Nucellus cells are involved. So, we will save and move to our next question. Next question is, what is the genetic nature of the apomictic embryos compared to the parent plant? Okay, the genetic nature of the apomictic seed. What is the ploidy of it? A. Haploid, B. Hybrid, C. Clones, and D. Mutated. So what do you call it? Yes, everyone is correct. C. Clones. They are the clones. So we will save and move to our next question. Why is apomictic significant in the hybrid crop cultivation? Why it is very significant in the hybrid type of crop cultivation? We have discussed it today, right? A. Increase genetic diversity, reduce seed cost for the farmers, enhances fertilization rate and promotes polyembryony. Hmm? Why we use the apomictic seeds? To develop the hybrid varieties, right? So because it reduces the cost, because every time you don't have to go and produce a hybrid seed, right? So this apomictic seeds can be development, can lead to the production of more number of those hybrid seeds, right? So we will opt for the option B, and we'll move to our last question of this DPP. Which statement about polyembryony is correct? Which of the statement is correct? A. Results from the multiple fertilizations. B. Produces genetically diverse embryos. C. Common in citrus species and require the reduction division. So statement of polyembryony. It is common in the citrus species, right? Polyembryony is a citrus species, because there was an experiment also that take an orange seed, press it, and you will see the multiple embryos are there. So it is very common in the citrus species. We will save it and submit it and see the result. So our all the answers are correct. So this is all about today's session, and tomorrow we will have our session that will leads to the discussion of half of the chapter, but with neat eye. Means on the basis of neat examination we will see half of the chapter. So be with us tomorrow, and you can now join the other subjects. So thank you very much for attending today's session.